Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. Today, we're going to talk about the first overall pick from the 2016 draft, the 2017-18 Rookie of the Year, the All-NBA selection in 1920, the three-time All-Star, and two-time All-Defensive Player, Ben Simmons. Ben has had a lot of controversy surrounding his play and his lack of being on the floor in recent past, but it cannot go without being said that Ben is one of the most talented and gifted players in the association. In this video, we're going to dive into how Ben Simmons could genuinely impact the Brooklyn Nets in their hopes of winning an NBA championship. But first, let's look at some stats throughout his career. He's averaged nearly 16 points per game, 8 rebounds, nearly 8 assists, shooting 56 from the field, 56 from two-point land, and an effective field goal percentage of 56%. The weak points have come at his three-point shooting and free throw shooting. However, Ben is in a new place with new teammates in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, where he is in a position to go chase an NBA title. So let's start this video by diving into the defensive end of the floor and see how we can help them out down there. Starting with being an elite individual one-on-one defender. Ben Simmons is an absolute unicorn at the defensive end of the floor. His ability to guard inside and out, take on any matchup, and it is seen throughout these clips that he was willing and able to take on the most elite offensive talent in the league on a night-by-night basis. But when it comes to him guarding on the perimeter and taking on these one-on-one matchups, it all starts with his pressure and ability to be physical at the point of attack, know who he's guarding and how to guard them, and to take away what they want to go to. So you can see in these clips that he's more willing to get up into the ball in guys that want to get to their pull-up and force them to get downhill to the rim, and vice versa. If it's a guy that wants to get to the rim, he knows to back off and apply pressure from far away with his length and then force them to do things there. When it comes to his stance, he does a solid job at being low, being athletic, being able to react very well to whatever direction the offensive player goes. He has good hand activity, but at the end of the day, he just gives great effort, keeping his chest in front of the offensive player between them and the hoop, and just causing havoc with his pressure, intensity, physicality, and athleticism. Now it's time to talk about him on the interior. So as far as it goes as an interior defender, he's big and strong, great at being physical and taking on these matchups head on. He's a versatile guy at this end of the floor, and it can be seen in these clips. He's not afraid of who he's guarding. He's really good at walling up, having good hand activity. He's not afraid to get physical, get dirty, be gritty down there, and do the little things to cause havoc and get stops. As we brought up earlier about the perimeter, Ben understood his matchup and understood the assignment, understanding what guys want to go to and what they don't want to go to, and making them do what they didn't want to do. Along with that, his hand activity was second to none on the interior, poking balls out, and also he was able to take and accept contact. He was also highly physical down there and strong and willing to take bumps like there against Zubac. You can see this in Brooklyn being huge for them in terms of having a guy that they could play small ball with and also rely on guarding on the interior and making a true impact in the paint. Ben Simmons, throughout his time in Philly, was put in a lot of ball screen situations due to his elite one-on-one ability. Teams wanted to switch him off and also create advantages where Ben was behind the play. But he did a great job in these situations at always staying in the play and making it happen. So you can see in these first couple of clips, he does a good job at finding that little room, getting over the screen, using that lead foot and lead shoulder to find space to get over and get back to the ball and make a play, whether that means staying in front or contesting from behind. That pressure that he applies at the point applies directly to how he attacked ball screen coverages. He applied that pressure heavy up front and then tried to commit back to get that pressure again on the backside. The great thing about him in pick and roll defense was that he is versatile. He's able to switch 1 through 5, but in terms of that single matchup, he did a great job at recovering and making plays from behind, whether that meant tipping the ball out or whether that meant a contest or whether that meant cutting off the roll man to pick off a pass. He did so many things at an elite level in recovery that it's hard for an offensive player to truly find an advantage. He can come back into a play, contest the shot, block the shot at the rim. He can steal your pass opportunity. He can block a passing lane from the side, from behind you. He just was so active and smart in terms of how he guarded in ball screen coverage that I think in Brooklyn, he can be a good option to go to guard these high-level perimeter matchups that are going to be in ball screens a lot. He'll be another guy that they could throw out there, along with being a guy that could switch out 1 through 5 and make plays happen. So now talking about plays, he is a defensive playmaking machine. you'll see that ball pressure up front was huge in terms of blocking shots and forcing turnovers. He's not afraid to get physical at the point and use that length and athletic ability to just make the offense uncomfortable, whether that means turning them over at the point or making them do something that they weren't comfortable with, eventually turning it over. But the thing that really made him special was his ball hawk ability, whether that meant tipping passes in the passing lanes, whether that meant cutting off passing lanes off the ball. Just he impacted the game on and off the ball at this end of the floor, making him that all-defensive player, making him a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And now in Brooklyn, his goal is to come in and help this defense go from bottom 10 to top half of the league. He needs to be an impact player at this end. I think he really turn teams over and help Brooklyn play at the pace that they want to, getting up and down the floor, allowing their guys to play in space with pace often. Now, let's go to the offensive end of the floor and see how he can impact here. Ben Simmons is one of the most elite players on the break. His ability to push it himself, get downhill, make plays happen early in offensive possessions with his athletic ability and also skill was second to none. I enjoyed heavily watching this film again of him. I forgot how fun he is to watch in the open floor. Whether that means a Euro step past the one defender, whether that means a spin, whether that means an open lane dunk. He is just so exhilarating, but from a basketball standpoint, for the Brooklyn Nets, he can come in, push the pace, add another weapon offensively in terms of playing in space, playing downhill, and making consistent plays happen deep in the paint. But this transition ability could definitely help Brooklyn out in terms of getting easier offense, staying out of the half court, and also getting a secondary offense going, being able to have this guy run the lane hard and play off of his run. But the other thing that makes him special is the playmaking aspect. Having a 6'10 guard, basically, controlling your break and leading it could be huge for Brooklyn's offense and producing easy looks next season. He can make any pass on the floor. Being an elite passer he is, he can pass with either hand. He's 6'10", he can see basically anywhere on the floor. He just does a great job on the break at playing at his pace, but his pace is so fast in transition. Teams are so worried about the paint, and he's able to go out there and make spacers better. So in terms of Brooklyn, he can go out there and allow Kyrie and KD to get open opportunities consistently in transition, along with the Currys, the Mills, the Joe Harrises, the Warrens and Edwards. These type of guys could go out there, run wide off of Ben Simmons and get a lot of easy opportunities. And then vertical threats such as Claxton and Sharp can play alongside him and also get opportunities rim running. He's not afraid to throw it ahead. He does a good job at knowing when there's an advantage and taking full advantage of it if the big is open. So I'm excited to see what Ben Simmons can bring in terms of Brooklyn's transition offense. Now we're going to talk about Ben Simmons out of the post. Yes, he's a 6'10 guard, but he's not afraid to play out of the post. And the thing that makes him special from down here is his playmaking ability and patience. Being the player that he is with the IQ and understanding and just overall feel for basketball, he does an elite job at being patient, reading the floor, scanning on the catch, and just making smart plays happen. He understands where the open teammate is and just gets the ball there on time and on target consistently out of post touches. This does not mean that player he passes to scores like this clip here against OKC, but it means he's going to just make the right play out of the post. He does a great job first thing first at sealing and getting position, allowing him to have the defense collapse and go make plays. But as a passer, he just does a great job of being patient, scanning the floor, and I'm excited to see what Brooklyn does in terms of adding an inverted offense with such an elite post scorer and passer in Ben Simmons. Now let's look at that scoring aspect a little bit more. He has a solid hook shot. He has a solid face-up game in terms of getting by smaller or bigger guys. He just knows where the advantages lie, and if you don't help, he's going to be able to get to his hook shot, get to the rim, and just make plays happen with his strength, physicality, and athletic ability. But in Brooklyn, I think that this layer of offense could be huge for them in terms of just getting something different. Instead of having a KD or Kyrie isolation on the block, you can have Ben Simmons down there and have action off of him and allow him to make the read, whether that means him scoring like in these recent clips or him making plays for his teammates, whether that means getting Kyrie or KD in space or having his teammates wide or cutting the rim to make easy, open, in-rhythm shots. Now let's talk more functional about how Ben Simmons could fit in Brooklyn right away. He will be used heavily as a player in space and as a traditional 5-man in terms of setting screens, being a handoff guy, and just rolling to the rim and making plays downhill in space. This will allow Ben to go to his strengths more early and often for Brooklyn, get comfortable quick, and it'll also allow him to make easy plays for him. He's an elite transition player, and the more you can get him in space attacking, the better it'll be for Brooklyn, and the better it'll be for Ben to get comfortable and be able to be a higher impact guy offensively. But the thing that'll make him special is his passing ability downhill. As you can see in these clips, whether he's popping or whether he's in the short roll or whether he's just the next man and he's playing downhill, all these different types of spots are him in space, going downhill, making a play with numbers, and attacking rotations. He's a high IQ basketball player, as we brought up throughout this video, but the way he can manipulate defenses, make simple plays while he's on the attack will definitely help Brooklyn out. I see him as a guy that can come into Brooklyn and make smart decisions on the short roll. He can create numbers, he can play on that backside like a Draymond Green. I know that this is a hot topic in the media, but it is true. He can be a guy to get the ball in space, play downhill, and make smart decisions with his elite passing ability, his elite feel, his elite IQ, and his elite skill level for the Brooklyn Nets next season. Ben Simmons is one of the most skilled, talented, and just overall impactful players in the association throughout his career, and I'm excited to see him in Brooklyn at both ends of the floor. Defensively, being a versatile unicorn that can genuinely impact the game inside and out, and offensively, I'm excited to see him in this new role where he'll be able to play downhill, play in space, and go make plays happen where he's most comfortable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned something about Ben Simmons. For more content, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.